So I just want to talk today about something that's just so healing at the deep level for attachment issues, and it's in regards to our nervous system. So I kind of want to just deep dive a little bit onto the nervous system, but maybe share in a frame that's maybe you've not heard before. And I just want to credit a teacher called Gabriel, who is really sort of involved in this work and actually supported me a few years ago, just by his sort of nervous system presence. And he talks about it in regards to a biological field that we have in our body, and then a biofield that goes beyond our body. And so this is also sort of known as somebody's aura or presence. So maybe you just suddenly feel really relaxed in somebody's presence. You feel like they've got a good energy. You can just sort of be yourself around them. That's what this is sort of getting at. And basically our nervous system works in a way that it will try and create the exact conditions in our lives until it can come to a point of resolution. And Gabriel talks about this really eloquently in regards to the tribal living. So he gives an example of living with a tribe that he realized that he'd been there for 2 months, and he's heard a baby cry. And it was the first time that he heard a baby cry in 2 months of being there. And he just realized, oh my God. And this baby had malaria, and that's why it was crying. But it was just this realization that the parents and the tribe and the nervous systems are so attuned to the children that there is no need to cry. There's no need to cry for attention. They're just tuned in. And so anytime the baby needs something, the mother's almost got like the sixth sense, and anytime she's not able to provide that, there's more people in the tribe that are around that can support that. And obviously, as we evolved, I thought this was interesting too. Initially as herd animals, so we were actually prey animals. So things would eat us as basically kind of human monkeys. I don't know, but it probably wasn't until we developed weapons and, spears and things that we could actually, not be prey to tigers and all sorts of other creatures that were out there. So our nervous system, because of that, is really heightened and super aware of danger. And it's a survival mechanism. So we're really tuned into that. But if there's many other people with you, and older people with you in a tribal setting when you're young, when you're a baby, you can't assess whether something is safe or not as a child, as a baby. And so you're reliant on the field that's coming through other people's nervous systems, the adult nervous systems that are around you. And from that, you get an impression of whether it's safe or not. And so if there is some unsafety, let's say there's a food shortage or a battle or some kind of thing that actually is unsafe, then the child will pick up on that through the lack of safety that he feels in the adult nervous systems in those fields. And, that's just how attuned we are. But since we've been living more in the nuclear family style, some of us are very fortunate to have a very loving, present, regulated parents who had these incredible nervous systems already. And this isn't something that they need to have learned consciously. It's just an innate part of being. And they may have been able to support you through most things and just bring you back to a place of presence and calm. And that's fantastic. But obviously stress happens in life, and sometimes those sort of calm nervous systems can't be there, and sometimes they just never learned it themselves. They were never given that model themselves, and so they, as much love as they want to give to you, they just can't offer you that safe nervous system presence, because it's not something that their system has just taken on board, so it's not part of them. And so often with attachment, speaking personally for me with attachment, it's challenging to get to the root of what could be kind of defined as trauma, because it's not necessarily an external trauma of something happening. It's an inner trauma of something not being there. And if something isn't there, it's much harder for us to even make a story or comprehend as to why we might feel the way we do in relationships. And so a really key piece of healing is at this nervous system level. And Gabriel talks about initially needing someone to mirror that to you and to be that safe presence. And so that could be, this happens, I think, a lot therapeutically with a therapist or with a coach or someone that's kind of been through that and able to regulate their nervous system. And that mirroring and that co-regulation can then occur. And you can just relax into presence. And the beautiful thing about that is it happens at an energetic level. It can happen on a quantum level, which means that space and time aren't necessarily relative. And so you could be watching this video or someone else who's kind of displaying that or has that regulation, and you might be able to feel it within your own system. And it can feel quite uncomfortable because it can bring up different emotions and sensations. And the key is just to sort of sit with those, knowing that they're sort of ready to come to the surface and reveal themselves and just move through. And maybe there's some emotion linked to those as well. But actually when you sit and you feel the emotion, it passes through. And for me personally, it's felt like this analogy that, again, it's from another teacher of mine, Alyssa, that there's a foot on the accelerator, on the gas, and the brake at the same time. And the way Gabriel describes this is really beautiful. Our inherent nervous system is to thrive, and we have another part that is to survive. And that part that is there to survive will create situations and scenarios so we can re-experience the initial trauma and then be healed and then integrate and thrive. So our natural state is thriving, and our natural intelligence is bringing the triggers and the people that we attract as romantic partners to mirror everything that's unhealed in the perfect way for us. So whatever challenge, whatever trigger you're going through, you've been through, you're trying to recover from a challenging breakup maybe, whatever that is, just trust that your own intelligence and the greater intelligence that you're connected to brought that very situation into your life so you can recognize it, so it can be brought to the surface, so you can get in touch with it, so you can feel all of the early emotions, all of the unsafety that you felt in your nervous system when you either experienced something challenging or you didn't experience what you needed. And this is your opportunity to really deepen into that level. And find that within yourself, because then this is something, once you've learned it, once you've felt it from another regulated nervous system, and maybe this takes a few times, and maybe there's some big emotions that just don't feel safe to come out when you're on your own, and that's okay. Just trust that when the time is right, your nervous system wants to come back into a state of thriving. So all of these frustrating situations, the repeating patterns, all of it is because there's a greater loving intelligence that just wants you to be fully who you are. If you would like some support or one-on-one sessions with this, I am available for that. I'll leave the details in the description. And it's part of my sort of mission to bring this more communally as well. So having a community setting where there's shared calls, and we can all tune in and support each other as well, because this also happens in community. And sometimes when something shifts for someone else, it's the exact thing that you needed to be around as well. So it's like all these little keys unlocking. Okay, have a beautiful day.